Hello, dear one. Are you ready to go into our second imprint in this Liberate Your Heart section? I, for one, am really excited to take you in. We're going to move into imprint number 7, which is chapter 7, and here's what we're releasing. Work hard to succeed, and we're embracing work wise to thrive. Now, these may just seem like words. Oh, here goes Christine again with her etymology stuff. Oh, we'll just shift around a word, la 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 la. No, this is where our power is. So I want to remind you, the subtitle of Overwhelmed and Over It is Embrace Your Power to Stay Centered and Sustained in a Chaotic World. Embrace your power to create a path to sustainable success. And the truth is that you and I have been like, we have grown up in a fishbowl of work hard ethos. It is like literally in the fabric of our culture. And we also brought up in this rah-rah, hey, you should thrive, hey, you should thrive. But the problem is that instead of being told how to thrive or shown how to thrive, we are working hard to thrive, which doesn't work, which is why we actually have to change the equation to work wise to thrive. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm just going to bring up the 2 glyphs that are primary in this chapter because they're the best way to share with you from my heart to yours. Again, this is a transmission. You can read it all in the book, but I wanted you to really sit down here with me. This is why this other chair is here, and have a heart-to-heart with me. And let's get real together, and let me share a little bit about both of these, not concepts, but really they're principles for working wise so that we can take the pressure, take the stress, take the unnecessary burden and pressure we put on our hearts that is causing 1 in 3 women to die of heart disease off and find a different way. This whole part right here, this chapter, is like the portal into how do we actually work differently? How do we work wise? And then I'm going to share in this chapter and in the video probably 3 to 4 principles for working wise, like what not to do and what to start doing. And those are also in here, and you'll take those into your Know Yourself inquiries. Sound good? Okay, so let me just read you this little part. I love this piece. We often give more than is needed or valued, and then waste our life force and resources in ways that could have been directed to what nourished and sustained us and made a greater impact. So how about that? Let's stop wasting your time, your energy, your life force, and your resources. So let's start with pulling up this glyph. It's the trifecta glyph, we call it. And you'll see here on the glyph, work hard, work smart, and work wise. And if you just look at that first picture of the woman who works hard, like just look at her. Like she is, and I'm just going to read the definition of what hard means. To work hard, to do with great exertion, strenuously, or in a manner to be difficult to bear or endure. To be marked by resentment, toilsome, burdensome, grinding, cruel. I mean, look at her. We know that. You and I, we've done that. And again, remember, part of Overwhelmed and Over and this journey we're on together is not saying we could have necessarily done it differently up until now. Who really knows? Every woman I know, which is why I wear my boots here, we've bootstrapped it because we had to, for many reasons, sometimes just to survive, or there was no one else around and the ship was going to go down. But notice, I have cowgirl boots on that have not, these aren't rhinestones, by the way, these are Swarovski crystals. They are about elevating, which is why I'm also up here in my elevation station with you, like elevating the way we approach work. So like, forget this work hard thing, like it has gotten us to where we've gotten, but if we keep doing it this way, we're just going to keep toiling and grinding. So what's happened is we have this other opportunity. Oh, well, let's work smart. Now look at the woman in the center. She is all up here in her mind, and she's like this, we should do this, we should go there, we should go there. She is like burning her mind out. She is mentally frying herself. Can you relate to this? Strategizing, thinking, trying to make it all fit together. This is better maybe, but it's just you can't see it as much because it's all mental. And look at here on page 146, the root of the word and the synonyms for to work smart. Brilliant, brainy, that all sounds good, but clever, quick, shrewd, to be quick or prompt in action, to cause a sharp, stinging pain, right? To smart. So when we work this way, even though in our culture we glorify doing things fast, we glorify being quick, it is actually burning us out, and it is not the best way to work, which we're going to go to in the next glyph I pull up in just a moment here. It's causing us to do too much, too fast, individually, collectively, organizationally. So what's the option? Work wise. Now get this, because I'm all about etymology, and I dug deep into these words. Here's what wise to work wise means: to discern and judge properly as to what is true or right, to possess discernment or discretion, to be prudent and sensible. What I love about the word wise is it comes from Wisian. I can never say these words right, but it means to see or know, to show the way, and it means form or shape, melody. So like working wise literally is about finding the shape or the form that creates harmony. So think about that in your life. Everything in your life, whether it's your work or it's how you're working, it's like we are seeking, when we work wise, the shape or the form or the path or the rhythm that leads to harmony. Doesn't that sound better? And yeah, might be moments of swiftness, and it's not like we're all just going to lay around and be leisurely and never do anything, and that would be boring. But it's working in harmony. We'll talk more about this in the Liberate Your Time section, where we get into the different rhythms of a harmonious life. And sometimes it's intense, and sometimes it's, it is, but that's not sustainable like the work hard forever. So work wise, that's the path. How do you do it? Well, let me pull up first this second glyph, which I'm going to pull up two glyphs. One glyph that's going to show you, and these are on page number 150 and 151, because we want to work wise and choose to be smart. So I'm not telling you don't be smart. I'm actually asking you to use your intellect in service of wisdom. Use your intellect in service of wisdom, which comes from your intuition. So I'm going to pull up this glyph here, the sustainable creation glyph. And this glyph, we could spend a whole, in my Feminine Wisdom Way school, this is what we do for the full year. We go deep into this. I want to start to get you familiar with this. And there's actually a podcast I taped about this as well. You can go check it out. It's a whole series on co-creation. We'll make sure to put it up on the class notes for you all. But if you look at these 4 sections of what sustainable creation looks like, you'll see that we have an impulse. That's like, I have an impulse to do something. I have an impulse to get a job. I have an impulse to do this thing. I have an impulse to move. I have an impulse to create. And in our culture, we normally speed up and we pass the second phase, which is intuition, which is water, which is the feminine, by the way, because we don't value slowing down. We don't value or even understand intuition. And as a culture, we surely don't undervalue the feminine. So we got to go right to thought, which is wind and air. I have an impulse. Now what should I do? And then we do it. And in sustainable creation, you'll see on the glyph, it actually leads to an aligned form. But if we pull up this other glyph, which is what we do when we're in unsustainable creation, when we are working hard or we are working smart, you end up skipping over the intuition, skipping over the wisdom, the feeling, the sensing, the being in co-creation. And you have too many thoughts that create too many forms, so you're doing too much or you're doing the wrong things, which burns you out, which fragments your energy and others that you influence. So take a breath. This is so great about living this way, is that you're actually going to have more space in your life, because you're going to start to value the space. But part of that is actually starting to embrace that there's value in slowing down. So let's talk about, so you're with me? Now here's the thing. Don't always take my word for it. I want you to go out and I want you to play with this. I want you to experiment with this. I want you to see this happening in your life, both where it's self-created, where you're pushing to get to the thought. And of course we all want to. We all want to know the answer. That's how we're programmed in this culture. But if you're always having an impulse, then driving to the answer so that you could just know, you're shortcutting the magic. You're shortcutting the universe. You're shortcutting the possibility. And you're living your life more like a speedboat who just has a destination and I will push and drive and strive till I get there, versus a sailboat who has a destination in mind, but knows that it has to work with the wind and the water, and it stops and it tacks. So that's the metaphor, and those are the models. Now let's talk about making it practical. So in the chapter, you're going to find, I think it's about 4 different principles. And if you start on page number 153, they're the self-sustainability principles for working wise. And each of these has a know yourself to go deeper, a set of inquiries to go deeper and look at how this is playing out in your life. But I'm going to present them here in the video with you and I next to each other having this heart-to-heart. And then you journal on them, and you pontificate, and you contemplate them. Okay, so you ready? All right. Self-sustainability principle number 1 for working wise. Stop filling all the holes and the gaps. So here's the thing you have to understand. We have to embrace this. The systems, dear one, they will take everything that you have and more and more and more. The systems, not the people, have their own consciousness. They have their own energy field, and they will just keep sucking and taking time and life force and resources from you. So whether it's a family system, it's an organizational system, it's society system, the world system. I mean, is the world ever going to stop needing? If you work for an organization, everything's never taken all care of. Our lives are not that way. And so it's not your job to plug all the holes and plug all the gaps. It's your job to actually know what your part is. And we'll get into that in the last imprint that we release. But just thinking for a second right now, what leaks are you plugging? It's kind of like the Dutch boy, right? The little Dutch boy who has all of his fingers in the dam, and he's holding it all together because he doesn't want it to fall apart. So this could be in your family system. What are you plugging? Or in your company or the organization you work within or a community, what holes are you plugging? And be willing to take your fingers out of those holes. Maybe not all at once, because maybe then the dam's just gonna whoosh, but you gotta start taking them out. And maybe you do. And you know what? The dam may break, but the dam might need to actually break. And that's okay. That's up to the universe. You just need to do your part. So just because it needs doing doesn't mean you are the one to doing it. So take a look at your life and see where you're plugging leaks and gaps and where you need to pull your energy back in and let the system reorient. Because the thing is, and what we don't understand or don't see, is that the systems, we just keep giving. And so there's no reason for the system to change. The family system, the work system, even if you created the organization as an entrepreneur or you're working in it, it has the team cycle. It has no desire to change because it's benefiting from you overgiving. And that doesn't make it sinister, it just makes it a system with a consciousness. And the consciousness won't change unless you pull your energy back in so we can get you into alignment. That's what this is all about giving and receiving in harmony, right? So let's talk about the second working wise principle. It's on page number 156. Stop giving 110% when 80% would be enough, or you will never have enough for yourself or what truly matters. I remember the first time I said this, I was speaking for a large MBA group at my alma mater, Kellogg, and I just looked at them all and I said, look, you're evening students, you're going to school at night, you have full-time jobs, many of you have kids. It's okay to be a B student. Be a B student, no one's ever going to ask you your GPA. It's okay to come here and give 80%. It's okay at work to pull back and give 80% of your effort and energy. Give 100% commitment, but stop giving 110%. Stop giving 130%. Because the truth is, and this is true for you too, or else you wouldn't be here, your 80% is like most people's 140%. And most of the systems, what they're really looking for is like mediocrity is okay. And I'm not saying you should not want to be excellent. I'm saying you can't give everything to everything all at the same time. And it's like, gotta give it all, gotta give it my all. Give 110% is bullshit. It's burning us out. There's a difference between committed and commitment. Yes, be 100% committed. But give your life force and your resources and time in a way that's in alignment. And for most things, 80% is good. One of my friends said, oh, it's kind of like going for the C. And I said, no, I don't do C's. I can do 80. I'll do a B, but I'm not doing a C. So, that's how she looked at it. If that frame works for you, that's good too. But if I was to pull back and give 80% energy, life force, time, but show up committed and be present when I'm there and engage, what space might that free up for you? So notice where you are giving too much, and notice what that brings up in you, because it brings stuff up for people. This is where that fear comes in that we're going to dive into, of like, what is it in there that makes you afraid to rewrite these equations? You can't stop working so hard or giving so much because you fear everything will fall apart if you do. So underneath all of these ways in which you're overgiving and you're plugging stuff and overcompensating over is fear. And in the book, I outlined for you, I think it's about nine different root fears that can cause you to overgive and work too hard. And so I'll just read them to you here, but I want you to go through these and really just feel into which of these might be present for you. So do you have the fear it will all fall apart? If I don't hold it together, everything will fall apart. The fear that you won't be needed. If you say no to people, people will stop needing you, and if I'm not needed, I'm not valuable. I won't have what I need. If I stop working so hard, I won't have what I need to survive. 4, others won't have what they need. This is a big one. If I don't show up and keep giving, another person or other people will not have what they need to survive. Did you know that the 5th self-love promise is I promise to stay true to myself, even if that means disappointing another? Consider that one, because in that instance, the universe always comes by and it provides what it needs. Doesn't mean that there's not suffering, doesn't mean there's not pain, but the universe will rewrite things to come into harmony. So why keep being the master controller of the universe? 5, I'll be seen as a fraud. If I don't work hard, they'll see that I don't know what I'm really doing or that I'm not really smart enough. 6, I'll miss out, fear of missing out, FOMO. I just had that one earlier today. If I don't do X or I don't go to X, and I won't belong, I won't be included, I won't reach my goals. 7, I'll disappoint another, fear of disappointing others, FODO. If I say no, I'll be letting the other person or the organization down. I have to be loyal. And I always say to the women that I coach, you have to be loyal to yourself first before you're loyal to an organization or someone else. And just take that in for a moment. If that's true for you and up for you, like, you have to be loyal to yourself. And then believe if you are, because that's coming from a place of love and advocacy for yourself, that the universe will respond and that will enable you to actually be a more compassionate, giving leader, influencer to whatever that is, but in a way that's in harmony. So it's not about saying, I'm only being loyal to myself. It's about loyal to myself first, so that I can then also show up and serve. 8, I'll stop being loved. If I stop giving so much to my family, to my teams or clients, I'll lose their love, I'll be all alone. And lastly, number 9, I won't fulfill my purpose or reach my goal. If I stop doing and giving so much, I won't reach my potential. So take an exhale. You can even push rewind and listen to them again and look at them in the book, look at them in the journal, and circle 1 or 2 that are really showing up. And then dive into the inquiries that are in here. What am I afraid would happen if I stopped working so hard and giving so much? And get honest with yourself. One of the reasons we don't make shift, why we don't have transformation, when we're not creating the reality we desire, is because we are afraid to be honest with ourselves. And if you can't be honest with yourself, you can't have awareness, you can't have acceptance, and you can't have empowerment. It's there anyway. Don't be afraid to look. And then lastly, we've got to be real about this, the last working wise principle. Reset the expectations of the people around you by choosing what to do, what is true and aligned for you. Reset the expectations of the people around you by choosing to do what is true and aligned for you. Now here's the thing. You go into your life, you start making shifts in how you're giving and receiving. Instead of giving 110%, giving 80%. Stop filling the gaps. Stop filling the leaks. You are going to rock the apple cart, your own, the systems, and other people's, because they're benefiting. In some ways you're benefiting, or you wouldn't be doing it. So expect resistance. Expect there to be wobble bobbles. And so what? The system will always respond to you and tell you what it can or can't do. Every time I work with a woman who's in burnout and I support her to actually, have conversations within our organization. I said, we don't have the conversation so that you can make something happen. We have you state what you need and what's going on that's not working for you. So then you can hear back in this relationship what they're actually willing to do. And I've literally had women who their supervisors have said, well, if you want to work in academic medicine, or if you want to be a teacher, or you want to work in academia, or you want to work in tech, this is the deal. Okay, well, now we know if you want to work and do this, you got to work 60 to 80 hours a week. It's just the deal. Do you want that? And if you do, great. And if you don't, then you make a different choice for what's true for you. This is why I chose, when I finished MBA school, going back to where we started at with Liberate Your Success, I could have gotten a job in a big consulting firm. I love being a consultant. It's one of my favorite things to do. But I did that in my 20s, and I worked 60, 80 hours a week. I started stuttering. I was having stress panic attacks. I thought I was having a heart attack at 25. I started to stutter. I ate Doritos every day. I didn't want to do that again. I wasn't going to give up my life. So I got in my car and I moved to California, and I pursued my dream of working in fashion, and it was amazing. It led me here with you all today. So this is about getting right with yourself and taking that stand to stay true to yourself and to staying with it. This doesn't happen overnight. There's no magic pill that, okay, I did this thing and now I'm done with the book and la la la, I'm only going to work wise. Like, no, you're in co-creation. So it's going to take time to reshape. And that can be challenging for those of us who are card-carrying members in the Impatience Club, which we'll talk about in the next chapter. So just know, okay, I'm going to need to reshape this, and I'm going to be in relationship to myself and to the people and now the system, but I am committed, and this is you being an advocate to yourself. I am committed to getting my giving and receiving in harmony. And then when you feel yourself, and here's the harmonizing practice for this week, when you feel yourself overgiving, plugging the hole, plugging the leak, giving 110%, operating from fear, pull back. Hit the harmonize button and ask, what would be enough? What would enough look like? And just give that. A double dog, triple dog dare you. Dive into the chapter, read it, do the know yourself inquiries, do the journal pages. This is a juicy, juicy, juicy chapter. And I'll see you in the next imprint.